I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Liliana Tandon. Liliana is an actress, writer, and producer. In this episode, we talk about what got her into that field, why she decided to go all Hollywood on us. We talk about her growing up in the Boston area and living in New York. You know I talk about some pizza. Before we move into some of her career highlights, she recently wrote, produced, and was the lead actress in the holiday romantic comedy A Ring for Christmas on UPtv, which co-stars Lorraine Bracco and Michael Gross, if you can believe that. So, of course, we talk a little bit about them, a little gushing going on with those two American icons. We also talk a little bit about her Lifetime thriller Indiscretion, where she played opposite Mira Sorvino. And, of course, we talk about her smash hit YouTube series, Period Piece, which won Best Original Comedy Web Series from Elizabeth Banks' comedy website, Hoo Ha Ha. She is just as playful as I was hoping. We had a lot of fun, and she's engaged, so best wishes, Liliana. This was recorded during all the self-distancing due to the coronavirus outbreak. So if that is over by now, woohoo. If not, damn it. But either way, this is my conversation with Liliana Tandon. Yeah, talk to me. Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Liliana Tandon. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I am wonderflonium. Thank you for asking. Now, what I generally like to do is I like to start with where people are born and raised, kind of get an idea of what made them pursue what they're pursuing. So how about that? Where were you born and raised?
Sure. So I'm from a little town called Weston in Massachusetts. It's about, with no traffic, it's probably 20 minutes outside of Boston. I grew up there and I went to school in Boston proper and then, I grew up outside of Boston.
What took your family to Boston?
So my father is actually from India and he came to the United States to go to graduate school. He came to go to Harvard. And then he got a job teaching economics at Boston University. So then he settled down in Boston. And then actually my mom studied at Boston University and had an econ professor at Boston University that I guess she liked. But it's funny, we like to kid about that with my parents, that he was her professor at Boston University, but they didn't date while they were together. They had formed some mutual friends while she was there, and they met years later at a party, and he remembered her as her student, but they didn't date while she was a student.
Is what they told their kids.
Is what they tell us. We always joke about it every Christmas, actually tying it into Christmas, that because my mom gave him a world's best teacher ornament that we still have, that we put on the tree every year. It's kind of a cheeky gift she gave him.
That is hilarious. Way after I was born, my mom went back to school to become a nurse, and she also ended up dating one of her teachers. But that was actually like no BS, professor student. That's taboo. But that's okay, because that didn't work out anyway.
Yeah. Lucky for me, I guess my parents did work out.
Yeah, no kidding. So is Tandon your birth name?
Yes, that is my father's last name.
So your dad is...
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, rock on. I'm going to check on that story and see what I can dig up. So what did you want to be when you grew up, Liliana?
You know, I found acting pretty young, to be honest. I went to an all-girls summer camp called Brown Ledge. Gwyneth Paltrow actually went there, but it's a small all-girls summer camp on Lake Champlain in Vermont. And it's not an acting camp, it's an everything camp, but they do have a very amazing theater program there. And I'm the youngest of three sisters, sorry. I'm the youngest of three. My sister, Xandra, she was at the camp as well, and she started acting in plays, and I decided I wanted to copy her. So I started acting in plays when I was 10 years old, and I never looked back. So that's kind of where I discovered my love of acting. I went through a phase. I used to love Grey's Anatomy when I was growing up, and I seriously said that I wanted to be a doctor from watching that show, a surgeon. But when I actually thought about being a doctor, I said, I'd rather just play one on TV. So acting has kind of been the mainstay through growing up, even though I thought about a couple other career paths, but not very seriously.
So have you gotten to play a doctor? Play a doctor, not play doctor.
I haven't yet, but hopefully one day soon would be great.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
Put in a good word for me.
General Hospital, you listening? Yeah, there's a ton of medical shows on TV. Well, if TV ever comes back.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Hey, all you medical shows, except for anything that starts with the word Chicago.
Yeah, there are a ton. There are definitely a ton to choose from. It's also my dream to be a victim on Law & Order SVU. I think that's the rite of passage for New Yorkers to be on Law & Order. So if you're listening, Law & Order, I'm available.
You can reach out. Do you know who Kevin Smith is?
Yes.
Well, Kevin Smith actually wanted to be on that show, and so he called them, or had his people call up and say, hey, I don't want to be the guy, but I want to be the guy who leads to the guy. And they were like, all right, cool.
All right, I'll make some calls.
Yeah, me too. We'll both blow in a call to New York and Mr. Wolf.
Sounds good.
All right, where are you now? Are you in L.A. or?
I'm in New York City now.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, so I came here I went to NYU, Tisch, for college, for undergrad, and I just stuck around. I liked the city. So I'm here for now. LA is obviously for most I studied theater acting, stage acting. That was what I assumed would be the forefront of my career. But as I got older during college, I realized film and TV was more where I wanted to start out. You'll hear from every actor, LA is always a possibility. But for now, I'm happy in New York. But we'll see. You never know.
Well, nowadays, Atlanta's a possibility, Dallas is a possibility, New Orleans, New Mexico, Vancouver, every place is a possibility now.
Yeah, it's really great.
Now, I have had a ton of people on the show who went to Tisch, and let me go ahead and apologize to everybody who ever went to Tisch, because the first person I had on that was from Tisch, when I was, typing up the episode description, I misspelled Tisch, and that person freaked the hell out on me.
No.
So my apologies, everybody from Tisch, because I misspelled it the one time. It'll never happen again, ever. So, besides your very recognizable name, is there anybody that we know that was in your class at Tisch?
There are some people who are kind of up and coming. I know Alex Isola was a friend of mine. He was in After the Wedding, that movie that came out with Julianne Moore a couple years ago, I think. So he's kind of up and coming. We kind of are all in that kind of arena. There were some people who were in my class or around my time at Stella Adler Studio of Acting, which was my Tisch studio that I studied at, that are doing really well. So it's really exciting to not know as well and turn on the TV and just see your classmate on TV. It's pretty cool. So I hope some people get to see me. Well, they will soon.
Heck yeah, they will. So let's go back to that camp, that summer camp.
Brown Ledge.
Let's go back to that summer camp on Lake Champlain. So you were there for, 8 weeks or something?
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, that's a pretty intense 8 weeks. You've got a lot of stuff that you got to do all in 8 weeks.
Oh, yeah. It was really good training, honestly, even starting from being a 10-year-old when I was there. You can either do 4 weeks or you can do 8 weeks. And I did my first summer there when I was really young. I just did 4. It's a sleepaway camp, it was my first time doing a long sleepaway camp like that. So I did 4, but then after that I was hooked. And the format there with the theater department, it's really awesome. They do 3 one-act plays every week, and then they do a 3-act full-length production in 2 weeks and a full-length musical in 2 weeks.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so it's really intense. It's really fun, really fast paced, and you're in there as well if you want to, you go work in the theater as well, so you can learn how to build sets, you learn how to use all the power tools, all the fun stuff, painting the sets, building it, and then you rehearsed in the afternoons and evenings, and it was such an amazing way to train myself to learn lines really quickly, to develop characters really quickly, and then kind of turn around and do it all again the next week. So it was really, really fun. It was a great, great, great experience. I loved spending my summers there. And then I worked there for 2 summers as a junior counselor in the theater department as well, which was really fun, getting to be the teacher for the younger campers as well, which was really fun. I loved Brownledge. It was a great way to grow up and spend my summers for sure.
That is very cool. I would definitely put that on my resume as well.
Yeah.
Now, since you're in New York, are you in like Manhattan or whereabouts in New York?
So I live in Fort Greene in Brooklyn. It's funny, when I was at NYU, I was always kind of that person who said, I'm such a Manhattan girl, I'm never going to move to Brooklyn. And now that I live in Brooklyn, I love it here. I absolutely love living in Brooklyn. It feels just quieter. There's more of a friendly feel in the streets and more neighborhood feel where we live. Obviously, certain parts of Brooklyn are different, but where we live, it feels really nice and quiet, like a nice neighborhood. So I really like living here.
I think it's really funny that even though New York is such a small state, by comparison to, say, I don't know, Texas, everybody who lives in New York City, like all the different boroughs, they all think that the other boroughs are shit. And that cracks me up. That's really funny.
I don't think that.
Now you don't?
Well, I guess, now I don't. I guess it is funny. Yeah, when I first moved to New York as an 18-year-old, of course, there was kind of the whole glamour of Manhattan, like Manhattan is where you have to be. But it's funny, even within Manhattan, the different neighborhoods are extremely diverse. They're very, very different neighborhoods even within Manhattan. So it's kind of funny. You think of the glamorized, what you see on TV, Manhattan, as what Manhattan is, which is kind of where NYU is. So it is where I started spending my time in New York City, in Greenwich Village, West Village area.
Sure. I've been to New York a few times, Manhattan, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before COVID, it was a great place. It was busy and it was clean and there were so many people. It was insane. But I got to say this, every single time I got somebody from New York on here, I got to say the best pizza in New York is in New Jersey. That's right. It's in Rahway, New Jersey.
That is something people say. What's the place you're talking about?
It's across from the train station in Rahway, New Jersey, and it's called Nancy's Townhouse, and it is the best.
Nancy's Townhouse.
Yeah, the best cheese pie I've ever had in my life. And every single time we go back to New York, well, we stay in New Jersey because who could afford to stay in New York? But we stay in New Jersey and take the train in or whatever, and every single time we go have that amazing pizza. It is the dopest.
Oh, what makes it so good?
Oh, what is that thing? The word flavor. That's right. It tastes delicious. I don't know. It's just unlike any other pizza I've ever had. Obviously, it's not Chicago thick or anything, and it's not super crazy thin like a regular New York style, but it's sort of somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just the sauce is whatever. It's all the pizza things. Everything that makes a pizza good is extra special.
Oh my God!
Mm-hmm.
I am a big pizza girl myself. My fiance and our 2 friends, Maddie and Michael, we call ourselves the Pizza Club, and we go around. Obviously, this was pre-COVID as well, but we go around to what we've seen on lists are considered, the best pizza places in New York, and we go and try them for ourselves. And it's funny, we always say, oh, we should, do something with this, like make a YouTube thing or make a blog or something. And no, it's just for enjoyment. We just want to go and eat the pizza that people are saying is the best. Maybe next time we'll go to New Jersey.
Heck yeah.
Let's see. Michael has a car. Maybe we can drive out to New Jersey next time.
Nah, driving's crazy over there. Just hop the
Take
train.
the train.
It's
all right.
Yeah, it's maybe 6 stops from Madison Square Garden, I think.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, there's a train under Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, good.
The Big Penn Station. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's only 6 stops away. It's amazing.
All right.
Hey, Streetwalkers. Here's a word from our sponsors.
Guess what, Streetwalkers? The gear is here. A bunch of you have been asking for quite some time, and now finally it's here. head over to FascinationStreetPod.com and check out the Gear tab. There, you'll find all kinds of FSP items to tickle your fancy. T-shirts, coffee mugs, sticker packs, pins, buttons, coasters, and my personal favorite, for just $5 you can get one of those weird little phone handle pop thingies. So head to FascinationStreetPod.com and show the world that you're proud to be a streetwalker.
Special thanks to my good buddy Stephen O'Reilly from the Bar Star Podcast for these dope drum beats. Check out Steve's work at O'Reilly Drums on Instagram or search Stephen O'Reilly on YouTube.
Let's get back into it.
All right, now, have you ever heard of a film called, I believe it's pronounced Goodfellas?
No, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Okay, well, it was before your time, so that's understandable.
I'm just kidding. Of course.
Okay, so there's a lady who played Karen, and she was nominated for an Academy Award for that movie, and her name was Lorraine Bracco. Just a quick trivia, do you know who beat her for that award?
I actually don't. I never looked that up.
Well, are you sitting down?
Oh, who was it?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Wait, what was that for?
Ghost.
Ah, oh my goodness.
I mean, Whoopi did great, but come on now. Lorraine knocked it out of the park on that one.
I'm a little biased, probably.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's bring that up. The reason I brought her up is because you were in a film with her.
Yes.
Tell me about this film called A Ring for Christmas.
Yeah. So I never wanted to admit it, but I've always loved the kind of cheesy Christmas time film. And as I'm getting my start in my career, I thought, you know what? I could probably write one of those. So I decided to write this film, A Ring for Christmas. Should I give a little what it's about?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
So, as you might think, there's this young lady who's in love with a dude, and she thinks she's going to get an engagement ring for Christmas. And then when Christmas finally rolls around, it's actually a Ring doorbell. Spoiler alert.
My friends and I were joking that we should make a sequel that's a Halloween movie that's referring to The Ring as in the horror movie The Ring.
Aha. What made you think you could write a movie?
Oh, gosh. You know, being an actor is obviously extremely difficult. And it's really hard in this industry to feel like you have control over your career and have control over your job and what you're working on. And getting cast obviously is not in your hands usually. So I thought a few years ago when some friends of mine were hanging out, we were laughing about the pun period piece and thought that that was really funny. And we were like, what if it was a period piece that took place in different periods but was talking about women menstruating and used the pun of period piece? So we thought that was really funny. So I decided to write this show based on that idea called Period Piece that is a comedic short-form web series that explores women in different periods of history having their periods. They're really short, and each episode takes place in a different time period using facts that I had dug up and researched or kind of myths surrounding certain time periods. They're not always true, obviously.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, but creating that show, and then I made it with friends of mine, really scrappy, putting this show together, it was the most unbelievable feeling to feel like, wow, I wrote this thing, I got it made somehow, mostly with the help of my friends, the generosity of people just donating their time, and seeing it go live was just one of the most unbelievable feelings in the world. And feeling like I had done something for my career that most actors, you just wait. Most of the time you wait for someone to give you that chance. So after I made that, I kind of caught the bug of I want to write work for myself as an actress. So, the natural next step would have been to write a short or something and kind of, work my way up to a feature. But I said, no, I'm going to write a feature. So I read some books because I didn't go to school for screenwriting. But you got to read Save the Cat, all those books.
Of course.
And do some research, watch a lot of movies, look at structure. And I said, you know what, I think I can do this. So I wrote A Ring for Christmas. I had help from, a lot of my friends read the script. I had help from Laura Boersma and John Stuart Muller as well, who are the team behind Grand Saloon Productions that actually worked on A Ring for Christmas with me. And yeah, it was amazing. Like, oh, I can do this. I can write a script. People I know, who see that I wrote and made this movie always say, okay, so I've always wanted to do that, but I don't think I can. I don't know how to write. I didn't go to school for writing. It doesn't matter. Just do it. The same with acting. The way you get better is by just doing it, by just practicing. And yeah, your first draft might not come out great, but that's why you edit it and you have people you trust you can send it to and read it. And I always say, just do it. There's no harm in just trying it, and it could pay off in a pretty major way. I mean, I still pinch myself that this movie got made, so it's obviously extremely exciting to have been able to write it and to perform in it as well.
Well, I think that's really cool. Did you have anything to do with the casting process?
A little bit. We had the team, as I said, Laura and John with Grand Saloon, but then they introduced us to Alex Koskas, Jeffrey Giles, and Michael Lurie, who are the team behind Storyworks Entertainment, who were the producers on the film. And they were the leads, on casting, but they were nice enough to kind of involve me in that process as well, since they knew this was kind of my baby, a very important project to me. So they were nice enough, but they were great in terms of knowing who to reach out to. And obviously, the cast obviously came together amazingly. I feel so lucky. We had such an amazing cast.
Well, among that cast is the aforementioned Lorraine Bracco, but also Michael Gross. And this is before your time, but he raised my generation.
Oh yeah, I still can't believe that. I have now played the daughter of America's dad. It's an amazing feeling. Michael Gross was so amazing to work with. He was wonderful.
Just so that everybody listening is paying attention, when she says America's dad, she means the one that's not in prison. Little Cosby joke there, little cosplay.
Exactly.
So let's go back to Period Piece. Where was that available? Like, where did you put that up?
We just put it up on YouTube. We have a website. People can still watch it. It's at www.periodpieceofficial.com. Yeah, and we just put it up, and it was amazing how it took off. I think I really released it at the right time. That was kind of right before the Me Too movement took off. Women and protecting women's bodies was a huge conversation at the time. It still is, unfortunately, but I think that's going to be a conversation for a while. But we released it right at the right time, and it really spoke to people. So we got some amazing press, and it has 1.6 million views on YouTube, which is
so far
awesome. Yeah, so far, and still growing. I still see it goes up, so which is great. But it was a show that I loved making because, as I said, it was comedy. So anyone can watch it and it feels accessible because you're laughing at what's going on, but it's making something like menstruation, which people might be uncomfortable talking about. It makes it part of the conversation and makes it easier to talk about. So that's why I felt like it really resonated with people. It kind of made certain things people don't like to talk about, made it a little more palatable for people.
Well, I think that is a good thing because I'm a dude. I'm a father. I got a little girl. She's almost 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not something that guys even want to talk to their wives about, much less their kids. But
yeah.
I'm going to watch both seasons, and maybe I'll just randomly start talking to the neighbor girls, the little girls in the neighborhood about. No, I'm just kidding. So how did you get the word out? I mean, people put stuff on YouTube all the time, but like, how did you help it catch fire? What'd you do?
A girl who was in the cast knew a writer at Jezebel, which is an online women's focus magazine. And I think once it got on there, it kind of caught fire a little bit. So then we got lucky. We were on Cosmopolitan, Women's Health. We were even on India Today, Women's Health France. We kind of made it international a little bit, which was fun. I think once it got on a couple publications, it kind of took off from there because, as I said, it was so relatable and funny and accessible for people. And so it just spoke to people. And it was the right time as well.
Well, super dope. I understand that it won Best Original Comedy Web Series on Hoo Ha Ha, which is some strange unknown person named Elizabeth Banks comedy site.
Yeah, she created this comedy website a few years back, and they had their first annual Women in Comedy Awards, and Period Piece won Best Original Web Series, which was pretty cool.
That's a pretty fly feather in your cap, lady.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I bet. Was there a tangible award? Like, did you get some hardware or just bragging rights?
They sent us a really cute care package as our award. So we got a couple packages that had a hat that said badass on it and a mug that said badass on it. So we got some fun stuff that we get to keep as our award.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you do impersonations?
I mean, I kind of just done one, but yeah, yes.
Of who?
Well, I've done an impression of the current president of the United States, and that was also a little special period piece episode, and that impersonation got nominated on Hoo Ha Ha as well for Best Impersonation, and there were 5 women in the category, and 2 of them were Melissa McCarthy and Kate McKinnon. So that was a pretty exciting award to be nominated for. I did not win. I believe Melissa McCarthy won for her Sean Spicer impersonation, but it was exciting.
So is that her, Sean Spicer from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
And Kate McKinnon's everybody from Saturday Night Live?
Everybody. She was nominated for someone specific, but I can't remember who exactly it was.
That's probably Hillary.
Maybe. I'm not sure. It was around that time. I mean, as I said, it was around the 2016 election. I can't remember.
Right. That makes sense. Well, yeah. What great company to be in. Those ladies are phenomenal. So, Again, another feather in your hat. You're going to have to get new hats.
I need a big one.
That's right. Need a big hat. So I think that's really cool that your YouTube web series was nominated alongside one of the most iconic television sketch shows of all time. That says a lot for your web series. Again, everybody, go check it out. It's on YouTube and also at, would you say periodpiece.com? Periodpieceofficial.com. Okay. Now, earlier when you gave that website out, you said www. And I just want to let you know, this is going to save 30 years off of your life. You don't have to say www anymore. This is 2020.
I guess it was my way of preparing your audience that now there is a URL coming your way. I don't know.
So I apologize for jumping around, but let's get back to A Ring for Christmas, which for whatever reason I'm not in. Thanks. Where can people see that? I know that it came out in November, but where can people see it?
So it premiered on UPtv on November 8th, and nobody missed their chance to see it. And if you don't have cable, that's not a problem. I saw actually on the UPtv website, you can go to philo.com, and that is a subscription service where you can watch live TV, but they do have a free trial. So you can find out when Ring for Christmas is next playing on UPtv, and then you can watch it live either on UPtv or on Philo.
Nice. And so that Philo would be www. Just kidding.
I didn't say it that time.
I know. I'm impressed. Very well done.
I updated to the modern time.
You are a learner. One of the things that I think makes you a genius for writing a Christmas movie is that Christmas movies are the gift that keeps on coming every year. Christmas movies keep coming back year after year. And so it's actually some people, some writers and actors and things specifically choose Christmas movies because it's a guaranteed paycheck at least once a year.
Oh.
Now, before your time, there was a bar that is no longer open, but it was called Residuals. It was over in LA. And what they would do is, because residuals diminish over time, and then, sometimes they're really small anyway. Like, people will get residuals for something they did 20 years ago, and the residual check is 11 cents.
Right.
But this bar, you could bring in your 11-cent residual check, and give it to the bartender, and they would give you a drink, and then they'd put your residual check on the wall.
What? That's awesome. I love that.
Isn't that cool?
I love that. That's a great concept.
Too bad that's not a supportive business model.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I think that's really smart that and this was the first movie that you wrote?
It is.
First full length?
Mm-hmm. It was.
That's awesome. So you're gonna be cashing those checks for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I gotta talk to my people about this. See what the deal is.
Yeah. What's the dealio, yo? Who's ha now? Wait, what?
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
You know those popping phone handle things that you see on everyone's phones nowadays? Well, how would you like to put your logo on them? Does your podcast or band need new merch? Do you want to bring attention to your new book or film? Maybe you need something unique for your Patreon or crowdfunding campaign. Then visit thelogopop.com, where you can customize them with the logo of your podcast, band, business, art, school mascot, or whatever else you can think of. These are way more affordable than you may think at thelogopop.com. Mention where you heard this ad and get free shipping on your entire order. Remember, that's thelogopop.com to order your custom popping phone handles. That's thelogopop.com.
Let's get back into it.
So then, I think that you have a film on Lifetime, right?
Yeah, I was in a film that premiered on Lifetime. Yeah, it's called Indiscretion. It's a fun thriller, and it stars Mira Sorvino. So that was pretty cool. I got to do my scenes with her, which was really amazing.
This one is an Academy Award winner.
Yeah.
And, another Goodfellas alum, because her daddy was in Goodfellas.
Oh, I guess it's like close connections for me.
Yeah, you got the 6 degrees of Goodfellas going on for you. So, I guess everything on Lifetime is a thriller, so you probably didn't need to say that, but... And it's called Indiscretion. And what was that experience like? I know that Lifetime is a big channel, and they are known for a very specific type of movie, sort of like how Hallmark is really known for their Christmas stuff. Lifetime is really known for programming geared toward women.
Mm-hmm.
Not exclusively women, but it is sort of aimed in the general direction of the female of the species. So what was that experience like? What was the difference between the on-set feeling of, the one that you did for UPtv and the one that you did for Lifetime? How would you describe the differences in those sets?
Well, it's kind of hard to compare them at all because on Indiscretion, I had a little part in the movie and that was my only job, right? So I was playing a character in that movie and that was my job. So I showed up as an actor and then I got to leave when I was done, which is obviously really great when you get to do that as well. But working on Ring for Christmas as a writer and as an actress was an amazing experience, but I obviously was wearing a lot more hats. So once I was done with my shooting, then it was, okay, is there anything that needs to be touched up in the writing for tomorrow's scene? Is there anything that needs to be, relayed to anybody? Do we need to move scenes around? What's going on? So it was definitely a completely different experience. And Ring for Christmas, I'm also playing the leading role as well. So I was on a lot more of the time, and it was an amazing feeling, but it was also like, okay, this whole production is kind of riding on my shoulders. So it was an immense responsibility. Whereas Indiscretion, which was so fun, but I got to kind of have the more fun experience of just like, okay, I'm walking on set. I get to do my scenes with Mira Sorvino, which is incredible. And then I got to kind of go home and relish that memory.
Nice. You got to be a hired gun, and that's a lot less pressure. Very cool.
Right, exactly.
Well, I think that you should have a hat rack at your house or your apartment. Like, no kidding. Just to remind yourself of what a badass you are, I think you should have a hat that says actress, a hat that says writer, a hat that says producer, and of course, on top of all of them, a hat that says badass.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think that too often people sort of get mired in what they're trying to accomplish and don't really pay attention and sort of pat themselves. I mean, not in a gross way, but just sort of acknowledge the things that they have already accomplished. And so I think that'd be a really cool way to just sort of every once in a while, you know, just look over at that hat rack and be like, yeah, I am a badass. Look at all that stuff I did. I'm neat.
That is very good advice. I do agree with you. I think it's really hard in this business to kind of give yourself that space sometimes because there's no guarantees of the next project. You know, there's no knowing what's going to come next. So it's hard to say, oh, wow, I can just sit here and be proud of what I've accomplished, because it's kind of always looking ahead to the next thing, And I definitely dealt with that a lot on the set. Luckily, I have very supportive friends and very supportive family, and they kind of had to slow me down a little bit and say, you know, you should be proud of, look around you, you know, at what's going on. You're shooting a movie that you wrote. I mean, they like to say, my fiance, John, he is so sweet, but he would always say, Lil, you have to remember, Academy Award nominee Lorraine Bracco read your script and wanted to be in your movie. So you should be proud of that. That's a very exciting thing to be able to accomplish. I think that's great advice from you, and thank you for being so sweet. That's so nice. It is difficult often to allow yourself that space to be proud of what you've accomplished, as I said, because you're always worried about the next thing. There's no rest. Yeah,
and I think it's important because it keeps you motivated. I mean, I know that, let's just equate it to a marathon. You know, if for a marathon, you're supposed to run 26.2 miles. And then by the time you get to the 25th mile, you're still like, oh my God, I still have another mile to go. When what you should be saying is, dude, I just ran 25 miles. That's amazing. And so I think that, like I said too often, I think people see the finish line and also keep moving the finish line away from them. I think that a lot of satisfaction comes from relishing and acknowledging those accomplishments. So don't stop doing that, lady. And don't let John let you stop. I know you're listening, John. Keep patting her on the back.
Yeah, he will. I'm sure he will. He's my biggest cheerleader for sure.
Nice. Well, it's a good thing that that's the guy you're engaged to.
Yes, actually, that's a fun story too, because we got engaged December 15th, about a month before we started shooting Ring for Christmas. So it was very funny to think, oh, I'm going into shooting for my movie, A Ring for Christmas. What did I get for Christmas? I got a ring for Christmas this year. So
that is so cool.
I got to walk into filming my movie, A Ring for Christmas. It felt very meta. And it's actually very funny. The prop ring that the woman got for my ring in the movie looks exactly like my ring. My actual ring.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So a lot of people ask, did you just wear your engagement ring? No, that was actually a prop.
That's hilarious. What would be even funnier is if John went behind your back and it wasn't a prop.
Well, Jen, who was our props department, she wanted nothing to do with my ring. I said, oh, should I just wear my ring on? She was like, no, because if you ever need to take it off and hand it to somebody, I do not want to be responsible for that ring, which absolutely is the right thing. But
then
kidding. It was funny because John always, after the shoot was over, was always worried, like, now you're sure you got the right one? You're sure you're wearing the right one? He would always joke about being nervous that I had missed. You can tell them apart when you're looking at them close up, which one's plastic and which one's an actual ring. So
that's really funny. Now, forgive me for asking, and feel free to say this is none of my business, but did you get engaged because you watched Indian matchmaking?
No, I mean, that show just came out. I was engaged before that came out.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I haven't watched that show. I've heard it's controversial though, but I haven't actually watched it.
My wife and I plowed through it. We loved it so much.
Oh yeah.
And I've interviewed a couple of the people from the show, and I think that the audience might have enjoyed that show more than the participants. I guess the controversy really stems from that people are like, wait a minute, arranged marriage is still a thing? What the heck? Also on the show, they were very biodata centric. And for the listeners, biodata is just like, basically it's your resume for your life. So, you know, like if you're an actor or you went to college, those things will be on there. How wealthy or important your family is will be on there. But they don't really focus on any sort of chemistry or, you know, what do you like to do? Like there was this one dude who absolutely loves the beach. Like his favorite thing to do is surf. And the auntie that connected him with a young lady, the young lady that he got connected with absolutely hated the beach. So that wasn't really going to work out. But the show is very entertaining. I don't know if it's going to be back. I know that it was number 10 in America and number 1 in India, so it might be back. But, I mean, everything's controversial nowadays if you look hard enough or if you make a big enough stink. So
that's true.
I would take the controversy out of it. And if you're, sitting at home one day with a hot chocolate and it's snowing outside, just turn that on. It's a fun watch.
I am definitely a sucker for a reality show. I hate to admit it, but I really am.
You know what's really funny is my wife and I aren't. Like, we don't watch reality shows other than cooking ones. And Netflix said it was a 98% match. And so we were like, all right, cool, let's watch it. I have no idea why Netflix said 98%, but they were not wrong. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
So what's in the hopper? I know that A Ring for Christmas came out in November, and Indiscretion came out a little while back. Is there going to be any more seasons of Period Piece?
I've thought about it. As of right now, I don't have plans to do any more, but it's always kind of lingering in the back of my mind to write more. So maybe when I feel like the moment is right to have some more episodes come out, maybe we'll revisit it. But as of right now, the 2 seasons that are available are the 2 seasons for now.
That is a very Larry David answer. Well done.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. There's been 10 seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it took 20 years to do it. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that weird?
Yep.
Every season is the last season until he decides, maybe I'll do another one. And then he does another one. So
Right.
Maybe Period Piece can be that. There'll be 20 seasons 40 years from now.
You never know.
You never know. Liliana, when are you getting married? Do y'all have a date yet?
Oh, geez. Well, we were supposed to get married in June of this year, of 2020, and we've had to postpone until next August, 2021.
Why?
We just decided, no. It was obviously an extremely difficult decision, but we made the decision in April. We made it pretty early, so we were able to get our photographer and our venue, and everyone was available for the next year. We even considered pushing it to the fall of 2020, and now I'm really glad that we didn't, because I don't think this fall would have been available to us either. But if the worst thing that's happened to us is that we had to postpone a wedding, I'm going to count our blessings. I'm very lucky that my family and all my friends, everyone has their health. Obviously, it was not fun and really sad to have to postpone, but there are worse things going on. We're lucky that kind of the worst thing that happened to us, for sure.
Well, that is a very glass half full way to look at it. Everybody who's listening, make sure and follow Liliana on social media, because we're all going to the wedding.
You're all invited.
We're not. Don't say that. Don't say that.
You never know. It might have to be over Zoom at this point. So I'll just send out the Zoom link. Anyone can come.
That's crazy. Speaking of social media, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram. You can follow me at @LTandon. And I pretend to have a Twitter. I'm trying to use Twitter more. At Liliana Tandon is my Twitter handle.
And so if I was on a computer, would I type in just kidding.
www.twitter.com/
Nice. You are not wrong. Now, Liliana, before we head out, is there anything that we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about today?
I guess just I'm excited for people to see A Ring for Christmas. I think Christmas movies, there are so many of them and they're all great in their own way. It's wonderful if you like that kind of, the Christmas time rom-coms. But I think this one, you'll notice some things that are a little different about it. And that's what I really set out to do when I wrote this movie. As I said, I loved these movies. I watched a ton of them. But writing one, I felt, let me do something a little different here and something that's a little more me. And as I said, I went to this summer camp. It was all girls. My high school that I went to was all girls. I grew up watching the Legally Blonde Reese Witherspoon kind of moments and the Sandra Bullock and Miss Congeniality, these kind of really strong women who were playing characters in really approachable, fun movies. And I think that was something that really stuck with me. And so I think when people watch A Ring for Christmas, hopefully they'll be excited to see something a little different. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but, you know, I do think seeing a woman not feel like she has to choose between different aspects of her life is really important to see. And I think watching women be strong and come into their own is really powerful as well. That's kind of what I wanted to say about Ring for Christmas, that it is a Christmas movie. It's fun. You're going to have fun when you watch it. It's very festive. And I think we could all use a little cheer up, especially this year. I think the holidays couldn't really come quickly enough this year. But I do think hopefully people will be a little pleasantly surprised that it has something a little different about it.
Well, I think it's really sweet that you feel that way about your precious little baby.
It is my little baby.
I also think it's really, really cool that, you know, even in 2020, a woman can dream and hope to get a Ring doorbell for Christmas.
That's what the movie's about, you know, just waiting for that ring at the door.
Well, I can't wait to watch it on the Ring Doorbell Network. Just kidding. Remember, everybody, go check out UpTV. Rewind and listen to what she said about going to philo.com and doing that free trial thing. Check that movie out. My wife and I are definitely going to cuddle up with some cocoa and some popcorn and check that thing out. We love a good schmaltzy rom-com. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. I hope you all will too. And with that, Liliana, I guess we're done here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. And I guess I should say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody.
Yes, that. Again, Liliana Tandon, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your COVID schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And you have a great rest of your weekend.
Yes, thank you so much. This was so great. It was so nice talking to you.
Good. Well, the pleasure was all mine. Bye, Liliana.
Bye.
As always, thanks for listening, Streetwalkers. And don't forget, follow the show on Twitter at FascinationSTPD, on Instagram at Fascination Street Pod. Follow the podcast page on Facebook at Fascination Street Podcast. And of course, you can always email me at fascinationstreetpod@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and rate us on iTunes. Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.